is the fornication of the eyes. Own people, don't, if you see a woman, and what do we do? In the name of da'wah, this is what brothers do. And sisters do this. And this example, and the reason I say this, is the only way we will save ourselves is if we bring God consciousness and taqwa in our heart. By Allah, and I say this, by Allah. We will never save ourselves from fornication and zina of the eyes, the heart, the feet, the tongue, if we cannot bring Allah in our lives. And we find this. Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi, who's written a book of Ihya al-Ulumuddin, around spiritual rectification, he writes, and Imam Wasiullah Khan and others elaborate upon this, that a person, in the name of da'wah, this shaitan tricking a person. We say, mashallah, let's do the work of da'wah. Let's do the work of da'wah. So, brother, look at this scenario. Brother, Abdullah here sees Sister Fatima. And he says, let me go do some da'wah. In the back of his head, the shaitan is there. Is giving him the waswasa, thinking, go and check her out. This is the reality. Go and check her out. Shaitan is playing in our heads. Go and check her out. See if I can somehow, in the name of da'wah, give my mobile number to her. And don't laugh. Sisters exactly the same. Sisters say, mashallah, da'wah. At times, and I use this example, and these examples are the sisters. I read this article about a sister, one of the sisters in the University of London, Central London, wrote this article. She says, and this is what we find. A sister, she'll be sitting beside another sister, and they'll be there. And there's a brother, mashallah, practicing brother, with the thawb and the hat and the beard. And the brother will be working away, and for some odd reason, his eye must have looked and came towards her. And she'll think, subhanallah, did he just look at me? And she'll say to his sister, did he just look at me? And then he said, no, maybe he didn't. After a bit later on, for some odd reason, the brother looks again. Subhanallah, is the brother really looking at me? Let me make my hijab straight. And ask the sister beside her, is my hijab straight? Is it okay? Is it okay? Okay. And then the sister thinks, maybe he might come towards me. Maybe he might come and say to me, Assalamu alaikum. Do I say wa alaikum assalam? What is the fatwa regarding this? Do I say wa alaikum assalam or not? Do I remain silent and show that I'm bashful? What do I do? The reason I mention this example is shaitan is always playing with our heads. We're young, we're unmarried, and shaitan is always there. He's never far away. With the brother thinks, let's go and give da'wah to the sister. So go to say, and make sure the ayn is clear. Assalamu alaikum. And the sister, and the brother thinks, I may go and say, Assalamu alaikum. We don't know, we can't read the Quran, and the only thing we can say is, Assalamu alaikum, kayfa hal. Okay. So we go to the sister, and we do this. Why? The sister may think I'm quite learned. Sister may think, mashallah, he's a practicing brother. Mashallah. So the brother goes, Assalamu alaikum, sister. Are you brother, sister, are you okay? And he starts having a conversation with her. And this is a typical example. The sister has a conversation with the brother. Alhamdulillah, brother. Akhi, no problem, akhi. Inshallah, I'll drop your name. And the conversation begins. And subhanallah, the conversation, and shaitan, what does shaitan do? Look at shaitan. He uses the term of religion. He uses the banner of Islam. He uses the flag of Islam to make these two people come into an illicit relationship. And subhanAllah, please don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to put a bit of humor as we go on. But this is a scenario which happens, and people think we're doing the right thing. But inside the back of the mind of the brother is what? It's not da'wah. His intention is corrupt. His intention is different. In the back and the head of the sister, her intention is corrupt. I'm not saying at all that we should stop our work of da'wah. What I am saying is that if this occurs in our head, we should take a step back and think. Then let me make my intention correct. If shaitan is in my head and says to me, brother, and sisters who are listening, I'm giving an example of the brothers, but I don't want to pick on the sisters, I might get in trouble. So I might use an example of the brothers, where the most they'll do is pick on me. So, for the brother, if we feel that by going to that sister, shaitan is playing in my head and saying to me, get her number, look at her for a bit longer, then we should make a stop. We should question ourselves and think to ourselves, my intention is corrupt. If I am doing the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then let me do it properly. And think to yourself, say to yourself, shaitan, get lost. By me going to the sister, it doesn't make a difference. Wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained for me, that will be. and make your intention sincere that I am going to the sister to give her da'wah, to talk to her. Don't exaggerate. Don't put an act on just to impress the sister. And the sisters, don't put an act on to impress the brothers. And think to yourself that I am doing this action solely for the love of Allah and His Lord, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Surely, if a person does this, and if we do come across this experience where we find that we're questioning ourselves, then always, always, always question yourself, rectify your intention, and then go and approach the sister. Then go and approach the brother. Because we find majority of cases, a lot of the cases, not majority, a lot of the cases we find at universities, it begins in the name of da'wah, in the name of working with the brothers and the sisters, and we forget all protocols. We forget the laws which are binding around da'wah. We forget about segregation, and we think we can have a chit-chat, no problem. We can swap numbers, no problem. Next thing you know, we forget our studies, the reason we're here for, we're on our email, we're on Facebook, we're on MSN. And we find failures taking place in our academic studies. What is the result? The result is shaitan playing with our brains. I'm looking at the time, I've got so much to say to you, brothers and sisters, but I'm sure I'll get this opportunity over the week. So we learn the reason intercourse or so on before marriage is taking place is because lewdness or acts of lewdness is in the increase. Pornography, naked men and women, the ogling of bodies is in the increase. And this has been prophesied by the noble Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a sign before the day of judgment. And hence the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, O assembly of youth, O young people, if you have the capability to marry, don't waste time, marry. And if you don't have the capability, what do? Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَلْيَصُومْ, and let that person fast. Because if you fast, you'll have control of your carnal desires. You'll have control over your minds and your souls and your spirits and your selves. So if a person is not, let's say one of us brothers or sisters, who's really eager to get married, but cannot do so for whatever reasons, then let them know that the best alternative for that is what the Prophet ﷺ said, hadith narrated by Imam Bukhari, is this, that فَلْيَصُمْ, let that person fast. And what that does, it eases down your carnal desires. I move on, and I've mentioned to you the importance of keeping yourselves intact and keeping control of yourselves. I'm going to carry on for a few more minutes until the food comes, which is coming in now, inshallah. And as I say, from the next week we will finish, inshallah, sharp 7:30. The Prophet ﷺ said, for the people who don't control their eyes and commit the zina of the eyes, who don't control their bodies and don't control their feet and walk towards the sin, who touch the sin, who hear and having long conversations over the night, we phone our friend, our girlfriend or boyfriend, the moment the time is after Isha, night time, 11 o'clock. Night flies past. Next thing you know, oh my God, it's lecture time, 9 o'clock. 12 hours gone past. And of course, no wonder we get 1,200 minutes of unlimited calls. We need them. Unlimited text messages. Or to be on the internet. We need them. Why? Because this is shaitan always playing with the young mind. Shaitan is always there. And that night it looks like in only a few hours. That night disappears within you're on the conversation, you got a bit cozy, and the next thing you know, your alarm goes off for the morning. Forget Fajr. It's for the morning class and lecture. So zina is in the increase. And the Prophet ﷺ said, O Muslims, beware of zina, of adultery. For indeed, it is accompanied by 6 evil characteristics. And let us remember this. The reason I say this, a lot of brothers and sisters have this problem of eyeing up, if that's the term, ogling at each other, especially brothers, looking at sisters. And if we have utmost respect for our Muslim sisters, than the non-Muslim women. And it's difficult, and I agree, for the brothers who are not married, even for the brothers who are married. Controlling of the sight is amongst the difficult aspects. And the moment a person looks at another woman, and for a woman to look at another man, it is amongst the poisonous arrows of shaitan. Imagine an arrow being dipped in poison, put upon the bow, and shot against a person. Even if the rupture from this arrow may not kill that person, the poison definitely will. And when you look at another person, another man or a woman, through passion and love or ogling with carnal desires, then it is like that arrow which has been dipped by shaitan in poison from the fire of Jahannam and shot against that person. And the Prophet ﷺ said, there are 6 evil characteristics that follow that person who has the problems of ogling. What are they? 3 in this dunya, I'm going to finish off inshallah with this. 3 in this dunya and 3 in the akhirah. What are the evil characteristics of the person who commits sinner? And before I mention these characteristics, it can be with the eye. It can be holding the hand of a woman who you're not married to. Obviously, now, what touches them, that's different. We don't need to go to the extreme to say, even that is haram. Because we should study later on, there are conditions for what haram and halal are. But what I mean by haram is looking at a woman with a passion. Or for a woman to look at a man with a passion. To hold hands with a passion. To walk towards a man or to walk towards a woman with the intention of sin, which is to get her mobile number, to get her MSN details, or to get his details. To hear conversations. A friend says to you, draw man. Or to a sister, sis, I know somebody for you, I think you should go link up. Maybe meet them in Murray Library. If it's difficult in Murray Library, meet up in St. Peter's when no one knows you. Also, and that is a sin. And for a person to say those words is haram. For the person to listen to those and say, actually, it's a good idea, man. Don't know if my parents will take me back home or what, but maybe it's a good idea. So to get involved in that conversation is haram. These are known as terminology of zina. And of course, the worst zina, which again a lot of Muslims are involved in, is the zina of the private parts. Prophet ﷺ said, there are 6 things that accompany evil deeds of zina. 3 in this life, 3 in the hereafter. What are they? Number 1. If a person is involved in this sin, the person loses the radiance and the light of Iman from their faces and their themselves. So when a person commits such sins, then if a person, he is good, he's the words of Allah, his noble Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, doesn't make a big difference to them. Big deal, so what? Because why? Allah has sealed their hearts. Allah has taken the light out of their hearts. Number 2, and this is ajib. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reduces the lifespan of those people who commit zina. If a person was ordained to live for 70, 80 years, but because they involve themselves in sin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the natural result of that, as the noble Prophet sallallahu says, number 2, is Allah reduces the lifespan of a person. It's funny, isn't it? Some of the areas of health, in public health, we will find statistics show that the British population is dying early. The British population is dying early. Specifically in Sunderland, the area which a lot of work I'm involved in, we find the population is dying very early, 65 people are dying. Muslim communities are dying very early. And this could be a result because of sins. And the sin specifically the zina. And the third thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives poverty to those people. Allah makes these people poor. So you may be a flying pharmacist. You might be a person who's, I don't know, what do you call the people with degrees in chemistry?
Yes.
A chemist or CPS, whatever it may be. You might have the best job in the world, but you may be struggling. I know doctors who are struggling really, really difficultly. So, the reasons for that is sin. So number 1, in this dunya, what are the reasons? What happens when a person commits zina? Number 1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away the light of Iman from their hearts and their faces, and they start to look dark. Number 2, Allah reduces their lifespan. And number 3, Allah makes them experience the pangs and the difficulty of poverty. And then, that's not it. And then 3 calamities follow that person when they die. What are they? Number 1, the punishment and the anger and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On that day, when there will be no other judge except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will be extremely angry with that person. Allah's wrath will be hovering upon the head of that person who is involved in zina and illicit relationships. Number 2,